When we are comparing two variables together, there are multiple types of graphs that we can use. And in this video, we're going to be looking at different graphs and what types of variables we can use in those different graphs. So let's have a look at a question from 2016 VCAA exam. Parallel box plots, so that's the context, would be an appropriate graphical tool to investigate the association between the monthly median rainfall in milliliters or millimeters and what? Well, the first thing we need to look at is parallel box plots. Parallel box plots find the relationship between numerical, so one numerical variable and one categorical variable. Now, monthly median rainfall in millimeters is clearly numerical. So we are looking in our options for a categorical variable. Well, it's not A because that's median wind speed in kilometers per hour, so that's numerical. Monthly median temperature, degrees Celsius, also numerical. Option C, month of the year, January, Feb, March, that is categorical, so it could be that one. D, monthly sunshine time in hours, it's not that. And annual rainfall in millimeters is not that either. So we can see the knowledge of parallel box plots comparing a numerical variable with a categorical variable helps us recognize the answer here. Okay, so this is a question from the 2017 exam. A study was conducted to investigate the association between the number of moths caught in a moth trap, and that is described as less than 250 to 500, or more than 500, and the trap type, sugar, scent, light. The results are summarized in a percentaged segmented bar chart below. Okay, let's read the question. The variables number of moths and trap type are what? Well, we could work these out, but before we get into working them out, I do want to emphasize, as is the focus on this video, that we are looking at a percentaged segmented bar chart. That means we are comparing two variables together. One of them is going to be trap type, and the other one is going to be number of moths, and they are both categorical variables. A segmented bar chart will always be looking at comparing two categorical variables. So when we come down here, anything that has a numerical in it, we can rule that out straight away. So option C, they're not numerical. But if we look at what we do have, number of moths is categorical, less than 250 to 500, and more than 500. And as we saw in the previous video, that is a ordinal variable. And trap type, sugar, scent, and light, that is a nominal variable because there is no implied order. So we have an ordinal variable and a nominal variable, respectively, giving us the answer of E. Okay, looking at the 2018 exam, data was collected to investigate the association between the following two variables. We have age, 29 and under, 30 to 59 and 60 and over, and users public transport, yes or no. Which of the following is appropriate to use in the statistical analysis of this association? Before we get into that, let's look at the type of variables. So age, in this case, is broken up into three categories. So that's a categorical variable. And users public transport is also clearly categorical. So we're comparing two categorical variables together. Well, it can't be a scatter plot because that compares two numerical variables. It can't be a parallel box plot because that compares a categorical with a numerical. It can't be a least squares line because that is something used on a scatter plot when comparing two numerical variables. It could be a segmented bar chart, as we saw in the previous question. And it can't be the correlation coefficient R because, again, that is associated with a scatter plot. So our answer is D, a segmented bar chart, which compares two categorical variables together. So 2019, question 8. Percy conducted a survey of people in his workplace. He constructed a two-way frequency table involving two variables. One of the variables was attitude towards shorter working days, for or against. The other variable could have been. Well, a two-way frequency table, as we've already seen, is a type of graph that compares two categorical variables. So attitudes towards shorter working days, this is one categorical variable. We're after the other categorical variable. So it's not age. It could be sex, male or female. It's not height. It's not income. It's not time, because they're all numerical. We actually saw this in the previous video, if you want to go back and watch a slightly more detailed explanation. Okay, so let's have a look at question 6 from last year's exam. A percentaged segmented bar chart would be an appropriate graphical tool to display the association between month of the year, Jan, Feb, March, etc., and what? Well, if we recall, percentage segmented bar chart has two categorical variables. We've got to rule out all of the ones that are not categorical, like monthly average rainfall, monthly mean temperature, annual median wind speed. Monthly average rainfall is actually categorical because of the categories they're using. So that will be our answer. And annual average temperature is not our answer. So option D. Okay, so in the 2020 exam, we saw this description. The data in Table 2 was collected in a study of the association between the variables frequency of nightmares and snores. Okay, now it doesn't actually say this is a two-way table, but we can know it's a two-way table in part because both variables are very clearly categorical. But let's have a look at the question. The variables in this study, frequency of nightmares and snores, are what? Well, as we said, because it's in a two-way frequency table, we can know that they're both categorical. So if there is any reference to numerical in here, we can cross it out. But it turns out there isn't. So let's go through and look at it. Frequency of nightmares, low and high. Well, that is a categorical ordinal because there is an implied order. And snores, no and yes. Well, that is a categorical nominal. So we have ordinal and nominal respectively, which is answer A. Okay, let's look at a question from the 2017 Northern Hemisphere exam paper. Which of the following could be used to identify and describe the association between the variables height, we've got short, medium, tall, and hat size, small, medium, large. So height with these categories is categorical, and hat size is also categorical because we've been given three categories to choose from. So we're looking for a type of graph that can display the relationship between two categorical variables. Well, it's not a histogram, that's just one numerical variable. It's not a scatter plot, that's two numerical variables. It's not a parallel box plot, that's one numerical, one categorical. It is a segmented bar chart, because as we've seen a few times now, they compare two categorical variables together. And it is not a back-to-back stem plot because that compares one categorical variable with one numerical variable. Okay, so this is the last question in this video, and we're looking at question 13 from the 2019 Northern Hemisphere paper. The association between amount of protein consumed in grams per day and family income in dollars is best displayed using? Well, amount of protein consumed in grams per day, that is very clearly a numerical variable. And family income in dollars is also numerical. So we'd be looking for a scatter plot to compare two numerical variables together. It's not a time series plot because it is not actually time series data. There is no reference to time in here. If we look at parallel box plots, can't be that because they compare a categorical with a numerical. Likewise with back-to-back stem plots, they compare categorical with numerical. And it can't be a two-way frequency table because they compare two categorical variables. And that brings us to the end of the video.